What would you do if the most powerful person in the building was watching your kindest moment and you had no idea? If you're enjoying this story, please hit that like button, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and don't forget to subscribe. Also, drop a comment telling us where you're watching from, because we absolutely love hearing from you. The glass tower reached so high into the sky that clouds sometimes kiss its windows. Inside, everything sparkled. The floors shined like mirrors. The walls were white as fresh snow. Every sound echoed in the huge, empty hallways. This was Thorn Industries, and it was the kind of place where people whispered instead of talked, where everyone wore perfect suits, and where a child's laughter would sound completely out of place. But on the 42nd floor, in a corner behind a tall plant, a small boy sat very still. His name was Leo, and he was 7 years old. His hands covered his ears, and his eyes were squeezed shut so tight that his whole face wrinkled up around him. People rushed past with papers and phones, their shoes clicking like 1,000 tiny hammers on the shiny floor. The lights above buzzed with sound most people couldn't hear, but Leo heard everything. Too much, way too much. His chest moved up and down too fast. Tears ran down his cheeks, but he made no sound, not a single cry, not one word. Leo never spoke. Not to teachers, not to doctors, not to anyone. The world was just too loud, too bright, too much for words. Sam Green pushed his cleaning cart down the hallway, the wheels squeaking softly. He was tall but walked with a gentle slouch, like he was always trying to make himself smaller, less scary. His uniform was old and worn, with his name stitched on the pocket in faded blue thread. Most people never looked at Sam. To them, he was invisible, just another worker who emptied trash cans and mopped floors. But Sam saw everything. He noticed the small things that important people missed. He saw the secretary who always rubbed her tired eyes at 3 o'clock. He saw the manager who had candy bars in his desk drawer. And today he saw Leo. Sam stopped his cart. He had seen children like Leo before, back when he used to be a teacher in a special classroom. That was years ago, before life got hard, before his wife got sick and the hospital bills piled up like mountains, before he had to take any job he could find to feed his daughter. But he still remembered. He remembered that sometimes the best thing you could do was be quiet and be gentle. Slowly, very slowly, Sam knelt down on the floor. His knees creaked a little. He was about 10 feet away from Leo, far enough that the boy wouldn't feel trapped. Sam reached into his cart and pulled out a small bottle of bubble soap. It was his daughter Chloe's. She was 8 years old and had made him promise to keep it in his cart for emergencies. "Bubbles fix everything, Dad," she always said. Sam dipped the wand into the soap and blew. One bubble floated into the air. Then another. Then 3 more. They drifted through the hallway, catching the light from the windows. They weren't just clear. They were golden, shimmering with yellow and orange colors like tiny suns floating through the building. Leo's hand slowly came down from his ears. Just a little. His eyes opened into tiny slits. He watched one golden bubble float past his nose. Then another. His breathing began to slow down. The terrible tightness in his chest started to loosen just a bit. Sam kept blowing bubbles. He didn't say a word. He didn't ask Leo if he was okay. He didn't tell him to calm down or be brave. He just made bubbles and stayed quiet. One bubble landed on Leo's shoe and popped with the softest sound. Leo's mouth almost smiled. Almost. What Sam didn't know was that someone else was watching. Maya Thorne stood at the end of the hallway, hidden behind a corner. She was the CEO of everything in this building, the boss of every single person who worked here. Her black suit probably cost more than Sam made in a month. Her dark hair was pulled back tight, and her face rarely showed any feeling at all. People called her the Ice Queen behind her back. They said she cared more about money than people. But right now, Maya's heart was beating fast in her chest. Her hands were shaking, because that little boy on the floor was her son. Nobody at work knew about Leo. She kept him secret, hidden away. She had nannies and drivers and special helpers, but they all quit. They said Leo was too difficult, too strange, too silent. They didn't understand him. This morning, the newest nanny had quit right in the parking lot. just walked away and left Leo sitting in the car. Maya had no choice but to bring him upstairs, hoping nobody would see, hoping he would just sit quietly in her office. But Leo had wandered away. And then the lights, the sounds, the people, it all became too much. Maya had searched everywhere, panic rising in her throat. And when she finally found him, she saw something she had never seen before. She saw her son smile, just a tiny bit, but it was there, because of a janitor, because of Bubbles. Maya watched as Sam slowly stood up. He still didn't talk to Leo. Instead, he pulled out a small piece of chalk from his cart, the kind used to mark floors for cleaning. He drew a simple picture on the ground, a circle with lines coming out like a sun. Then he put the chalk down next to Leo and stepped back. Leo looked at the chalk, then at the drawing. Then, with one small hand, he picked up the chalk. His hand moved slowly across the floor. He drew his own circle, but around it, he drew bubble shapes. Lots of them, all golden in his mind. Sam nodded. Like Leo had just said the most important thing in the world. Maya felt something break open in her chest. She had hired the best doctors, the most expensive therapists, the finest specialists in the whole country. They all had fancy degrees and big words and complicated plans. But none of them had ever just sat on the floor with her son. None of them had ever made him smile with something as simple as Bubbles. She stepped out from behind the corner. Her expensive shoes clicked on the floor. Sam looked up, and his face went pale. He scrambled to stand up straighter, looking worried. Janitors weren't supposed to stop working. They definitely weren't supposed to play with the CEO's secret child. But Maya didn't look angry. She looked at Sam, then at Leo, then back at Sam. "What is your name?" she asked quietly. "Sam Green, ma'am," he said, his voice shaking a little. "Sam Green," Maya repeated like she was memorizing it. "I need to talk to you. Tonight. After work. Please." It wasn't really a question. Sam nodded, confused and scared. Maya walked over to Leo and gently helped him stand. Leo let her, his fingers still holding the piece of chalk. As they walked away toward the elevator, Leo looked back at Sam once. Just once. And Sam gave him a small wave. The golden bubbles still floated in the hallway, catching the afternoon light, full of quiet magic that neither man nor woman could fully explain. Something had started today. Something that would change all of their lives. But Sam didn't know that yet. All he knew was that his hands were still shaking, and his daughter's bubbles had done something wonderful. As he picked up his cart and went back to work, he wondered what the CEO could possibly want to talk about. He would find out soon enough. And nothing would ever be the same again. That evening, Sam sat in Maya's office, and his heart felt like it might jump right out his chest. The office was bigger than his entire apartment. Windows covered one whole wall, showing the city below with its tiny lights starting to twinkle as the sun went down. Maya sat behind a desk made of dark, with that probably cost more than his car. "I've been watching the security cameras," Maya said, her voice softer than it had been in the hallway. "I saw everything. How you helped Leo. How you knew exactly what to do." Sam shifted in his chair. "I used to be a teacher, ma'am. Special education. Before life changed. Why did you stop teaching?" Maya asked. Sam looked down at his worn hands. "My wife got cancer. The treatments cost everything we had. I needed a job with better insurance, more steady hours. Cleaning paid better than teaching. If you can believe that. She passed away 2 years ago. Now it's just me and my daughter, Chloe." Maya's face softened just a tiny bit. "I'm sorry. I know what it's like to be alone with a child. Leo's father left when Leo was 2. Said he couldn't handle having a son who was different. So it's just been me and Leo ever since." For a moment, these two people from completely different worlds just looked at each other. Both of them tired. Both of them alone. Both of them trying so hard. "I need your help," Maya finally said, and those words seemed difficult for her to say. People like Maya didn't usually ask for help. Every nanny quits. Every therapist uses big words, but nothing changes. Leo doesn't talk. He gets scared of everything. And I don't know what to do anymore. What do you want from me? Sam asked carefully. "I want you to spend time with him. After work. I'll pay you extra." I just, I need someone who understands him. Someone who can make him smile like you did today. Sam thought about his own daughter waiting at home. He thought about how much extra money would help. But mostly, he thought about Leo's face when he saw those golden bubbles. Okay, he said, I'll try. And that's how it started. Every evening after Sam finished cleaning, he would go to Maya's huge apartment on the top floor of another fancy building. At first, it was awkward. Maya would let him in, show him to Leo's room, and then disappear to work on her computer. Leo would sit in the corner, not looking at anyone. But Sam remembered his teaching days. He remembered that you can't force connection. You have to wait for it, like waiting for a shy bird to land on your hand. He brought simple things. More bubbles, colored chalk, soft clay that didn't make noise when you squeezed it. And he never pushed Leo to talk. He just sat nearby and did his own thing, sometimes drawing, sometimes humming quiet songs. On the third evening, Leo picked up a purple crayon and drew on the paper Sam had brought. It was a sun, but not yellow like most people draw. This sun was violet, purple like twilight. Sam drew his own sun next to it, making it the same color. Violet is a beautiful choice, Sam said softly. Peaceful. Leo looked at him, really looked at him. And though he didn't speak, Sam felt like they had just had a whole conversation. 1 week later, everything changed again. Sam brought Chloe with him. His babysitter was sick, and he had no choice. He was worried Maya would be angry that he brought his own daughter to work. But when Chloe walked in with her bright yellow raincoat and her big smile, something magical happened. Hi, Chloe said to Leo, not scared at all that he didn't answer. I'm Chloe. Want to see my rock collection? I found a really cool green one at the park. She dumped a bag of smooth stones onto the floor. Leo stared at them, and then, slowly, he crawled closer. He picked up the green stone, the color of emeralds. He held it up to the light. Chloe didn't think this was strange. She just smiled. That's my favorite, too. Green means growing, my dad says, like plants and stuff. For the next hour, the two children sat together sorting stones by color. Leo never said a word, but he was playing, really playing. Sam watched with tears in his eyes. Maya came out of her office and saw them. She stood very still, watching her son do something normal, something she had thought might never happen. Your daughter is wonderful, Maya whispered to Sam. She sees people's hearts, Sam replied, not their differences. That night, Maya did something she had never done. She ordered pizza, real, messy pizza with cheese that stretched when you pulled it. They all sat on the floor of her fancy living room, the children eating with their hands, laughing when cheese got on their shirts. Maya looked at Sam. I don't remember the last time I ate on the floor. It's the best place to eat, Chloe announced seriously. You're closer to crumbs, so cleanup is easier. Even Maya laughed at that. Leo picked up a crayon and started drawing on a napkin. He drew 4 people. 2 big, 2 small, all holding hands. Above them, he drew golden bubbles. Sam's breath caught. Chloe looked at the drawing and smiled. That's us, she said simply. We're a team. But outside this peaceful moment, trouble was growing. A security guard had seen Sam and Chloe going into Maya's apartment building. He thought it was suspicious. Why was a janitor visiting the CEO after hours? He told other workers. They whispered. They guessed. They made up stories. Then someone called a newspaper. They said Maya Thorne, the Ice Queen, was hiding something. Maybe she was doing something wrong with an employee. Maybe there was a secret she didn't want anyone to know. A reporter started asking questions, taking pictures, following Maya's car. And then the worst thing happened. Someone called Child Protection Services. They said a powerful CEO was letting a janitor take care of her disabled child. They said it was dangerous. They said Leo should be taken away and put somewhere better. Maya got the letter on a Thursday morning. Her hands shook as she read it. There would be an investigation. There would be a court hearing. They would decide if she was a good mother or if Leo should be taken from her. She called Sam immediately. They're trying to take my son, she said, her voice breaking. They're saying I'm not taking care of him properly. That I'm being negligent by letting you help him. Sam felt anger rise in his chest. That's crazy. Leo is happy. He's getting better. Anyone can see that. But they don't see that, Maya said, and now she was crying. The Ice Queen was melting. They see a janitor and a CEO, and they think something's wrong. They don't understand that you've helped Leo more than anyone. Then we'll make them understand, Sam said firmly. We'll show them the truth. That weekend, Sam, Maya, Chloe, and Leo sat together in Maya's apartment. But this time, it wasn't for fun. It was for battle. They were preparing for the court hearing that could tear their strange, beautiful little family apart. Leo drew picture after picture, his way of talking. Each drawing showed the same thing. For people together, golden bubbles, violet suns, emerald stones, his paper family. They'll see, Chloe said, patting Leo's shoulder. They'll see that we belong together. But Maya wasn't sure. She had money and power and lawyers. But did she have enough to fight against people who thought they knew better? Did she have enough to keep her son? Sam looked at the drawing spread across the floor. He looked at Leo's small hands covered in crayon marks. He looked at his own daughter, who had already decided that Leo was her brother. No matter what any court said. We'll fight, he said quietly. Whatever it takes, we'll fight. Outside the windows, the city grew dark. Somewhere in an office, people were writing reports about their family, making judgments, deciding fates. But inside this room, for people held on to each other and hoped that love would be enough. The golden bubbles were gone now, popped and disappeared. But what they had started was still here, still real, still growing like that emerald stone Leo loved. They just had to make the world see it too. The courtroom was cold and gray, nothing like the warm apartment where their little family had grown. Maya sat at one table in her perfect black suit, her lawyer beside her. Sam sat in the row behind her, holding Chloe's hand tight. Leo sat between Maya and Sam, very quiet, holding his emerald stone. Across the room sat Ms. Patterson from Child Protection Services. She had gray hair pulled into a tight bun and glasses that made her eyes look bigger. She had papers and folders and a look on her face that said she already knew what was best for everyone. The judge was an older woman with kind eyes, but her face was serious. This was serious business. A child's whole life was at stake. Ms. Patterson stood up first. Your Honor, this case is very simple. Ms. Thorne is a billionaire CEO who works 80 hours a week. She cannot possibly give her special needs child the attention he requires. Instead of hiring qualified professionals, she has employed a janitor with no current license to teach, no therapy training, and no background checks beyond basic employment screening. This is neglect disguised as care. Maya's lawyer stood up. That's not true. Sam Green is a former special education teacher with an excellent record. Ms. Thorne has also employed multiple therapists and doctors. Mr. Green simply helps in the evenings. Helps, Ms. Patterson said sharply, or replaces proper care with friendship. Your Honor, this child needs structure, professional intervention, perhaps even a residential facility where trained experts can help him 24 hours a day. What is now is chaos masked his family. Maya felt sick. They were talking about Leo like he was a problem to solve, not a person to love. The judge looked at Leo, who sat very still, his hands over his ears because the voices were getting loud. I'd like to hear from the child, the judge said. Ms. Patterson almost smiled. Your Honor, the child is nonverbal. He cannot testify. Perhaps not with words, the judge said, but I've read the reports. He draws. I'd like to see his drawings. Sam reached into his bag and pulled out the stack of pictures Leo had made. The judge looked at each one carefully. For people holding hands. Golden circles everywhere. A violet sun. Emerald stones scattered like stars. In every picture, the four people were together. Always together. Who are these people, Leo? The judge asked gently. Leo didn't speak, but he pointed. First to Maya, then to Sam, then to Chloe, then to himself. Your family, the judge said softly. Leo nodded. Just once, but it was clear. Ms. Patterson stood up again. Your Honor, a child's wishes don't always reflect what's best for them. Children want candy for dinner, and no bedtimes. We must look at facts, not feelings. The fact is that Ms. Thorne has poor judgment in childcare. The fact is that Mr. Green has no business providing therapeutic support. The fact is that Leo needs more than what they can give. May I speak? Sam's voice surprised everyone, including himself. He hadn't planned to talk, but rage and love mixed together in his chest, and the words came pouring out. The judge nodded. Please approach. Sam walked to the front. His hand was shaking, but his voice was steady. You're wrong about facts versus feelings. You think facts are test scores and degrees and fancy titles. But here's a real fact. Leo was having a breakdown on the floor of that building. His heart was racing. He couldn't breathe. He was trapped in a body that felt too much. And you know what saved him? Not a degree, not a treatment plan, not a specialist with big words. Bubbles saved him. Sitting quietly near him saved him. Patience saved him. Love saved him. Ms. Patterson tried to interrupt, but the judge held up her hand. Sam continued. You want to put him somewhere with experts who will treat him like a project. I used to be one of those experts. I had the degree. I had the training. And you know what I learned? That the best thing you can do for any child is see them. Really see them. Not their diagnosis. Not their problems. Just them. Leo doesn't need fixing. He needs belonging. Mr. Green, the judge said, what makes you qualified to determine what Leo needs? Nothing, Sam admitted, except that I pay attention. I watch him. When he covers his ears, I make things quieter. When he draws with purple, I don't tell him sun should be yellow. When he needs space, I give it. When he needs someone near, I stay. That's not therapy. That's just being human. The courtroom was completely silent. Even Miss Patterson had no words ready. Chloe suddenly stood up. Can I say something? The judge looked surprised but nodded. Come up here, sweetheart. Chloe walked to the front, her yellow raincoat bright against all the gray. She looked tiny in that big room, but her voice was strong. Leo is my brother, not because of blood or papers or any of that stuff, because we chose each other. We choose each other every single day. And if you take him away, you're not protecting him. You're hurting him. You're hurting all of us. Tears ran down Maya's face. She didn't try to hide them anymore. The judge looked at Leo again. Leo, I need you to help me understand something. Do you feel safe with your mother? Leo nodded hard. Yes. Do you feel safe with Sam and Chloe? Leo nodded again. Then he did something nobody expected. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a piece of chalk. He walked to the empty space in front of the judge's bench and started drawing on the floor. Leo, you can't draw on the courtroom floor, Ms. Patterson started to say. Let him finish. The judge said firmly. Leo drew 4 people. But this time he added something new. He drew a house around them. A big house with windows and a door. And above the house, he drew golden bubbles floating up into a violet sky. At the bottom, he wrote something. The letters were shaky and backward, but everyone could read them. Home. It was the first word Leo had ever written where anyone could see. The courtroom exploded into whispers. Maya covered her mouth with both hands. Sam felt tears on his own cheeks. Chloe ran to Leo and hugged him tight. The judge was quiet for a long time, looking at that drawing on her courtroom floor. Finally, she spoke. I've been a judge for 30 years. I've seen hundreds of custody cases, and I've learned that what matters most isn't money or credentials or perfect plans. What matters is whether a child is loved, safe, and seen. This child is all 3 of those things. She looked at Ms. Patterson. Your concerns about unconventional care are noted, but unconventional doesn't mean wrong. Sometimes the best families don't look like the ones in books. Sometimes the best therapy is presence, not prescription. She looked at Maya and Sam. However, I am ordering that this arrangement be formalized. Sam Green, if you're going to be part of Leo's care team, it will be official. You will complete updated background checks, work with the existing therapists, and document your methods. Maya Thorne, you'll reduce your work hours and be more present. Not because you're failing, but because you're succeeding. And success requires commitment. This family will be monitored, but it will stay together. The gavel came down. Case closed. Leo was staying home. Because home wasn't a place. It was these people. 6 months later, Maya did something nobody expected. She used her money to create something new. Thorn Green Oasis. It was a center where children like Leo could come with their families. Where parents could learn that different wasn't wrong. Where siblings could play together without stares. Where experts worked alongside regular people who just knew how to love well. Sam helped design every room. Quiet spaces with soft lights. Art rooms with every color of crayon. Gardens with flowers that smelled gentle. And in the middle of the main room, there was a bubble machine that ran all day, filling the air with golden spheres of light. The center opened on a Saturday morning. Families came from all over the city. Children who didn't talk. Children who moved differently. Children who saw the world in their own unique ways. And they all found a place where they could just be. Maya stood at the entrance, welcoming people. She wasn't the ice queen anymore. She smiled now. She hugged children. She sat on floors. She had learned that real power wasn't control. It was connection. Sam ran the programs, teaching parents what they'd learned. That patience was a superpower, that silence could speak volumes, that bubbles really did fix almost everything. Chloe and Leo were inseparable now. They had their own language made of drawings and rocks, and shared glances. Leo still didn't talk much, but he didn't need to. Everyone understood him just fine. That evening, after all the visitors left, the four of them sat on the roof of Maya's building. They had brought dinner up, eating on a blanket under the darkening sky. The city sparkled below them, a million lights in the growing darkness. Remember when we were scared we'd lose each other? Chloe asked, leaning against Sam. I remember, Maya said softly. I remember thinking that power could protect us. But it wasn't power that saved us. It was truth. Leo drew on his tablet a new picture. This one showed the oasis with its doors wide open. Children of every color streaming in and out. Above it all, golden bubbles rising into a violet sky. At the bottom, he wrote one word, clearer now. Stay. Stay, Sam repeated. Yeah, buddy, we stay. We stay together. And they did, through hard days and easy ones, through challenges and celebrations, through every moment that mattered. They stayed, because the best families aren't born. They're built with patience and presence, built with bubbles and chalk and emerald stones, built with people who choose to see each other, really see each other every single day. The golden bubbles from that first day were long gone, but what they represented would never disappear. Gentleness, care, the simple magic of showing up for someone who needs you. Leo looked up at the stars starting to appear in the violet sky. He smiled. And in that smile was everything that mattered. Home wasn't a place. Home was staying. And they were finally, beautifully, completely home. If this story touched your heart, please hit that like button and share it with someone who needs to hear it today. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss stories like this one. And please, drop a comment telling us where you're watching from, because we absolutely love hearing from you. Remember, stay golden.